permission to start, sir. Then, sir. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Commandant National Defence Academy, I extend a very warm welcome to Captain Dr. Rakesh Wahi, retired, Vishish Seva Medal, our guest speaker for the evening. Captain Rakesh Wahi is an alumnus of the National Defence Academy, 56th course, Kilo Squad. He was commissioned into the Corps of Engineers, Bombay Sappers, in June 1980. He served with 113 Engineers, where, in 1985, he was awarded the Vishish Seva Medal for distinguished services to the country in peacetime. After his degree course in 1986, he served with 114 Armoured Engineers, 1st Armoured Division, until his early retirement in September 1988. Captain Wahi was a part of India's scientific expedition to the Antarctica, where he established India's second base in Maitri in 1987-88. After leaving the army in 1988, he moved to Dubai, where he has distinguished himself in the field of IT, telecom, media, technology and education investments in the Commonwealth of Independent States, Middle East and North Africa, South and Southeast Asia, and Sub-Saharan Africa. He is a visionary entrepreneur who, as chairman of CMA Investment Holdings, has representation through its portfolio companies in over 22 countries. Captain Wahi is the founder of the ABN Group, that is in the media industry, and includes the ownership of CNBC Africa, Forbes Africa, ABN Productions, ABN Training Institute, ABN Pictures, ABN Digital, and ABN Education Trust. In the field of education, he is the founder of Transnational Education Group, Lancaster University Ghana, Murdoch University Dubai, Curtin University Dubai, and Global Institute Middle East. The group is now establishing its 4th university in Uganda in collaboration with the University of Aberdeen from Scotland. In their IT investments, he is the co-founder and chairman of Tech One Global, that owns the distribution of Microsoft in 8 countries in South and Southeast Asia. Captain Wahi graduated from CME, Pune in 1986 and holds a Bachelor of Technology degree in Civil Engineering from the Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. He is a member of the Institute of Engineers, Kolkata. He was awarded with an honorary doctorate degree of science from the International University of Management by the Minister of Education of Namibia. In March 2013, as part of a team-building exercise, Captain Wahi led a group of 15 members from his company to the top of Kilimanjaro, the world's highest freestanding mountain. 100% of the team made it to the top. In November 2016, Captain Wahi published his memoirs through an autobiography titled The Alliance, that was published by Penguin, South Africa. In his autobiography, he has credited his success in the corporate world largely to leadership acumen he learned during his career in the Indian Army, as also a trait of risk-taking, which took his roots at the NDA. His attachment to the alma mater runs deep, and he has donated 5 lakh rupees in 2014 for the welfare of Group C employees of NDA. May I now request Captain Wahi to address the gathering on the subject of leadership and risk-taking.
Deputy Commandant of the National Defence Academy, Rear Admiral S.K. Grewal, VSM, officers and academic staff, cadets of the National Defence Academy, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to all of you, and thank you, Varun, for the kind introduction. It is indeed an honor and privilege for me to address you all this evening. I'm filled with nostalgia as I joined this great institution 41 years ago in 1976 and graduated from here in June 1979. I think most cadets would not have been born around that time. It may seem a long time ago, but I can still hear myself sing the announcements at Kilo Squadron. When we visited this morning, I was told that this is still the Squadron tradition. I also remember the aroma of the Gold Market bakery that sold donuts. I must confess, those were the best donuts that I have ever eaten. Besides the fact that we were always hungry. When I received the invitation from the Deputy Commandant, I was no doubt thrilled to come back to talk to all of you. However, summarizing a lifelong journey into 45 minutes is not an easy task. There are some common threads through my journey, first as a soldier and then as an entrepreneur. And when I look back at my life, I can see that these threads were woven into my character by the National Defence Academy. Admiral Grewal asked me to speak about leadership and risk-taking, but I've been given latitude to cross-reference my experiences. The Chief Instructor, Brigadier Jacob, had cautioned me that most of you, as is the tradition, are going to sleep. I therefore requested that he provide some pillows and blankets. Any takers? If anybody wants them, they are available at the back. During the course of my talk, I'll map my journey, both through successes and failures, and also reflect on my recently published book, in which I have proudly acknowledged that I'd not be the man I am today without the strong foundation that the military gave me. You will also see some visuals appearing on the screen. These are pictures from the past and some highlights of my presentation. I do have to tread on thin ice today, as I want to motivate you to rise to the top in the armed forces and not leave and follow what I did. But it is important for you to know the qualities that the Army ingrained in me that allowed me to get to where I am today. One consistent factor in this auditorium today is recognition that by being the 8th hardest institution globally to be admitted into, we are a unique group of individuals. Individuals who have been filtered through a fine mesh that above all distills an alumnus of outstanding leaders. To illustrate this point, my course boasts of 8 lieutenant generals, of which 3 are army commanders. The Quartermaster General, General Ambre, who's here this evening, 3 vice admirals, including the Vice Chief of Naval Staff, the Flag Officer Commander-in-Chief of the Southern Naval Command, and 4 air marshals, including one who was the commandant of this great institution a few years ago. The inference is that no matter how you feel today, you're part of an elite group that will lead the armed forces in the not-so-distant future. So what is the siege that you're going to be put through for the next 30 to 40 years of your life? How do you prepare for it? What is the code of conduct that you live by? What purpose and goals have you set for yourself? And how do you achieve them? More importantly, what is the legacy that you will leave behind when you finish your innings and head back to the pavilion? These words may sound complex and far-fetched, but it is what you do from the day you join this glorious institution that will determine your destiny. From the day that I joined the NDA until the day I left, there was an emphasis on 2 interconnected values: leadership and spirit de corps. These are important to make a success in business. It dawned on me that to build a sustainable business, I needed to build an organization. To do this, I had to go back to the drawing board, as I was not prepared to take on the challenges that I faced. I'm a great believer that people play a very important role in your life, and that they come into your life for a reason. Through interdependence, they become entwined in your destiny. No relationship in life can flourish without mutual interdependence. We rely on each other for our strengths and our complementary skills. This is the basis of any team, whether on the sports field, battlefield, or in business. I coined a phrase that I use in my mentorship lessons. Every now and again in your life, there will come another human being who will touch your heart, soul, and destiny. He or she will be the messenger of an opportunity and consequently your destiny. Keep your eyes open for such people and do not fail to build interdependence with them. All the people in this auditorium today are part of a time and space chart that we cannot explain. But there is a greater power that brings about these interactions. You will see as you grow over the years that your circle of influence will be formed here and will continue to grow from these very relationships that are built at this glorious institution. Do not ever forget to nurture and build on these positively, as you cannot grow in a vacuum. As I traveled the world, I was introduced to a great American entrepreneur, Rick Michaels. Rick introduced me to investment banking, asset management, and the world of information technology, media, and telecommunications. Most of you would know this as the ICT sectors. These were unfamiliar areas, but I spent the next 8 years of my life, from 1994 to 2002, in navigating a path that I knew nothing about. The Army instills in you the habit of personal development and continuous education. You will all recognize the phrase, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. There is more truth in these words than what you will ever realize. I went back to educating myself, and since I did not have the luxury of going for a full-time university program, I began to get up at 4 a.m. every day to study finance and read about the ICT sectors. I attended workshops and conferences and took every opportunity to learn. You cannot lead from ignorance, and if I had to lead people educated at Harvard and Stanford, I needed to know what they knew and more. This is another important lesson for all my young friends in the room this evening. Just being a soldier will not get you to your goals. You need to constantly educate yourself to keep yourself current with technology and the latest trends in your respective fields, or you run the risk of becoming a dinosaur. The future belongs to the era of scholar warriors. Studies and hard work eventually paid off, and it wasn't long before I became an authority on my subjects and a speaker at conferences around the world. I became a pioneer in Islamic private equity and set up the first team to establish a $50 million private equity fund focused on the ICT sector. This period was magical and was perhaps the greatest learning curve in shaping my life. Lo and behold, as if stability was not to be a constant factor or a consistent factor, the dot-com bubble burst. Internet companies that had mushroomed and gained incredible value had started to crash. Luckily for us, we had kept clear by strategy and design of any investments in internet companies. However, with the collapse of dot-com companies, the financial markets crashed. And in 2002, I was faced with yet another crisis, where everything that I had learned and built for over 8 years was under threat. Once again, it was time to go back to the drawing board, and it happened again and again. The only difference was that this time, I was better prepared. I had not only built a better balance sheet for myself, but had significant emerging markets experience and specialized in the most rapidly growing sector in the world. The ICT sector was not only growing exponentially, but through innovation was disrupting every other sector. The choices before me were to either continue with asset management and investing into others' businesses within the ICT sector, or to start building my own businesses. I took a decision to start building businesses bottom up. The main reason was because the maximum value and wealth creation takes place when you start a business from scratch. Based on experience between 1994 and 2002, I decided to take well-established global brands to emerging markets. The strategy was to become number one in every chosen industry in the countries we entered. Over the last 15 years, along with my partners, I've invested into three sectors: IT, media, and education. We have partnered some of the best brands across the world. We now have a presence in 22 countries, where we employ a little over 1,500 people from over 40 countries. As we progressed, we did not forget our social responsibilities. As a family, we established a foundation to give back. With my wife as its patron, we decided to focus our attention on three areas: orphan children, destitute women, and tertiary education for children from disadvantaged families. At this stage of my life, giving back to people less fortunate than us has been the most satisfying part of what we have achieved. I have so far mapped my journey. I would briefly like to highlight a few lessons. The first is to take failure as a path to success. If you take risks and try to make a difference, you will fail from time to time. You would have heard the saying, greatness lies not in never falling, but in rising after every fall. When you fall, dust yourself and start again. The second is to recognize that change is an inevitable path to growth. Don't get into a comfort zone of mediocrity or accept the status quo. If you stop growing, it is time for change. As you make changes, remember to ensure that you educate yourself in line with your new environment. Thirdly, risk-taking is an inherent quality of being an entrepreneur. Lots of people have a notion that when you own your business, it comes with a lot of freedom. On the contrary, being an entrepreneur takes away all the freedom you enjoy in a structured environment. From being responsible just for your own family, you're now responsible for the lives of hundreds of people who rely on your leadership and vision to make sure that they have stable jobs and a secure future. The fourth lesson is that the biggest challenge when you set up multinational corporations is in building teams and bringing a common culture across the organization. Finding good people, aligning their goals with those of the organization, working synergistically with other team members, and motivating them to deliver your vision requires patience and a belief that people all over the world are inherently good. The one thing that has not changed over the last 28 years since leaving the army has been my belief in people. This is fundamentally at the core of what I learned in the army. No battle can be won without the involvement, loyalty, and the commitment of the very people that we are called upon to lead. Since people are your greatest assets, I personally oversee the human resources department in my business and make sure that there is a clear management of expectations between the organization and its people. There are some basic qualities that I have looked for in people over the years. I coined the term LIAC. This stands for loyalty, integrity, attitude, competence, and commitment. In my view, if people don't have high marks in these 5 qualities, they are unlikely to make it to my senior team. Warren Buffett said, in hiring people, look for 3 qualities: integrity, intelligence, and energy. If they don't have the integrity, don't bother with the rest. Other than integrity, the most important quality in my dictionary is attitude. A good leader is not only someone who is positive at all times, but is able to surround himself with positive people who can find solutions and not become part of a problem. You will see on the screen an empirical illustration about the truth to life. The fifth lesson is to recognize the involvement of youth in our organizations. Youth are our future, and we cannot ignore them, and we can ignore them at our own peril. As I was building my organization, I focused a lot on the development of the middle management. This is generally people in the age group of 28 to 35. Other than starting the Young Leaders Program, which is a mini MBA related to our business, I encourage team building exercises that are no different from the camps that you're all familiar with. In 2013, I took a team from CNBC Africa and Murdoch University to climb Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. At about 6,000 meters, Mount Kilimanjaro is the highest freestanding mountain in the world. Only 41% of the people who have attempted to climb it have made it to the top. More people have died trying to climb Kilimanjaro than Mount Everest. From an age perspective, at 54, I was the oldest member of the team. And my son Sid, who's here this evening, at 25, was the youngest. Understanding the enormity of the task, I started training with my team about 6 months before the climb. Other than basic fitness, I brought the discipline of buddy pairs and taking regular breaks after every 40 minutes to breathe, stretch, and eat high-energy food. Now, some team members thought I was old and unfit when I made them walk slowly and stay together. When we started the hike up Kilimanjaro, I ensured that the team continued with the same discipline. Since the first 4 days were relatively simple, the team was anxious to move faster and also break up into smaller groups based on individual strengths. It was easy to see the logic of what they were trying to do, and in its most simple form, it was to separate the strong from the weak. For me, it would have defeated the very purpose of the trip. I intervened and made sure that on summit night, we stayed together. The goal was clear. We would stay together and 100% of the team had to reach the top. I would now like to play a brief video to illustrate what happened during our hike up Kilimanjaro.
Mysterious, challenging, magnetic. Mount Kilimanjaro tempts over 35,000 adventurers to conquer her peak every year. Only 41% of them make it to the top, Uhuru Peak. At 5,895 meters above sea level, Mount Kilimanjaro is the highest freestanding mountain in the world. This dormant volcanic mountain with its 3 volcanic cones, Kibu, Mawenzi and Shira, is situated in Tanzania's Kilimanjaro National Park. Uhuru Peak is on Kibu's crater. The fumaroles emit gas in the crater, leading to several collapses and landslides in the past. Most hikers turn around at Gilman's Point, 300 meters shy of Uhuru, or Stella Point, 200 meters short of Uhuru. Between 10 to 15 people die on the mountain every year from severe altitude sickness, hypothermia, falls and other medical problems. And yet groups and individuals continue to find reasons to climb Africa's tallest mountain. For the ABN group, The attraction was the team-building opportunity. As the mountain challenges people on a range of levels, it helps forge bonds and brings out dormant qualities of leadership and team dynamics. The team huddles before setting off to reiterate their goal to leave no one behind. It's a team effort and a dream for everyone to reach the top, Uhuru Peak, together. Today has been the most challenging of all so far, but the team knows to respect the conquests of the next 2 days. Strategy is set if any rotation is required. Nothing is left to chance. This all to lead by the Supreme Leader himself, Rakesh Wahi. The goal is simple: we will not leave anybody behind. We all summit. The team lines up outside. They say a prayer and set off. The shining caterpillar works its way up a gradient that does not let you forget.
That point is stellar, you know, walking in the night, and it was just so cold. It was just so cold, and you're just getting colder and colder, and we just saw, remember those people walking in front of us with those lights, and they almost seemed like I never felt like we were getting to the top.
The group is beginning to take strain. The altitude owns their bodies and consumes their minds.
I knew that Sid was in trouble 2 days before the summit, and he begged me not to say anything.
I already started feeling the altitude sickness a day earlier, where I felt very claustrophobic, I couldn't breathe, and then the vice chairman was telling me that somebody from a bank had taken his son up, and the son died on the mountain. So then I'm telling myself, shit, I'm going to die, shit, I'm going to die. I think all in all, I didn't really prepare myself mentally for what was about to happen. It's only after we got to Stellar Point where the sun had come out, and we just had about 800 meters to go, sort of horizontally, not even vertically. And at that point, I just couldn't breathe. The VC and Quentin said, no, you gotta stop and turn around. So one of the guides decided to take me down, and the rest of the team continued to the summit.
As we were assembling to take our group shots, we saw this figure in the distance, this very distinctive red jacket, which we knew was Sid's, and his guide lumbering up, looking like they'd just been through a war, but they were going to make it. Sid arrived, and there was much hugging and crying, and we saluted him like a hero's welcome.
It's really like a side out of the movie. We even made a little tunnel for him as he made it up to the side, which was brilliant. I think it meant a lot to everybody else. So
it was quite a good feeling to be part of the team. Can you imagine coming down, sitting here today, and saying 14 out of 15 people made it, and put my hand up and say, yeah, I'm the guy who did make it. So I'm happy that we did it as a team.
When we came down, the greatest joy for me was to see that we went up as 15 people. The last day was, I think, to my mind, the greatest joy for me, to see the whole team come together.
It's the ultimate adventure to remember. This level of team building and bonding is incomparable. Out of the 150 teams the lead guide took up the mountain over 10 years, the ABN team was the 10th to make it to the top together, with all 15 reaching the summit. While each individual had their own challenges to overcome, with strong leadership and teamwork, they achieved collective victory.
As seen in the video, I faced a personal crisis at 300 meters from the summit. I had seen my son struggle right through the climb, but seeing him turn blue in the face was heart-wrenching. Sid developed acute mountain sickness and his lips turned purple. The guide advised that he move down to a lower altitude quickly. I was faced with a dilemma. whether to go down with my son, whose life was in imminent danger, or go up with the team and send him down with a guide. This, as you all would know, is not an easy choice. However, I finally chose to entrust his care in the hands of a qualified and experienced mountain guide. In the condition I was in at that altitude, there was nothing I could have done for my son. You can play board games and go to bowling alleys or parks for getting to know each other. But if you want to test character, take people out on a tough, real-life expedition. You get to see how people behave when the chips are down and when their existence is being threatened. I was proud of each and every one in the team, but most of all, of my son. I knew what he went through that day to go down and then turn back and make sure that he did not let me or his team down. This is what true leaders are made of. When he gave his debriefing address in Johannesburg, he stated proudly that it was on the top of the mountain that he learned the true meaning of the word humility. I pray for God's mercy as I know that he tested us all that night, and each one of us overcame our personal limitations to achieve our goal that day. The trip helped me build one of the most formidable teams in our organization. As you all progress in your own journeys, whether personal or professional, you will be called to make difficult choices. Despite the stress and physical hardship, you will have to think calmly, and after taking counsel from your closest advisors, you will need to make the right decision. At all times, remember that as a leader, the goal and the mission is all that you need to focus on. Everything else is secondary. In November 2016, I published my memoirs titled Be a Lion, Dare to Dream, and Live Fearlessly. People have admiration for different animals. I have since my childhood been fascinated by lions. If you have seen how a pride of lions lives, you will have seen their implicit respect for hierarchy. Yet there is respect for every member in the pride. When they hunt, and depending on the prey, it could be the fastest that leads, or the stealthiest, or the most experienced, or sometimes the strongest. This is what makes a pride of lions the most feared predators in the world. The lesson here is, it's all about teamwork. For me personally, the lion symbolizes power, and metaphorically is someone at the top of his game. To be a lion is to be fearless, to protect what we are entrusted with, to build something that will endure, to ensure a succession of strong, resilient leaders who will give their lives to protect the honor and legacy of what we have set out to establish. From one Sinha to another, pass the mantle of succession and a legacy of immortality. I was in Prague in December 2015, completing the legacy chapter of my book. It was an opportune time for me to visit Charles University, that was established 7 centuries ago. After 700 years, Charles IV is not remembered for anything other than this grand university that is churning out thousands of students in various disciplines and who carry a certificate bearing his name. It made me reflect on what a legacy truly is. People will seldom remember you for the wealth that you accumulate. They will remember you for your deeds and for the impact that you make on the lives of others. Cadets of the National Defence Academy and the young officers present in the auditorium, take these words from an old horse. Life is not going to be a bed of roses. Each day will come with new opportunities and challenges. Face the challenges like men and overcome them. Take opportunities fairly and carry with you the people that you lead. There will be times when you fall. Failure is a path to success. Lift yourself when you fall and come back stronger. Learn from your mistakes. Do not put limitations to your potential and overcome all barriers that hold you back. Go out there and conquer the world. Serve your country with honor and dignity. Make each day count and achieve perfection in all that you do. What I'd like to leave you with is a couplet written by Dr. Iqbal that my father shared with his children until his last day. खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. Develop yourself so well that before every decree, God will himself ask you, what is it that you wish for? Thank you very much.
शुभ